and welcome to another video in the Election Viewpoints series, a video series we are doing to ask candidates for council and for the mayoral seat in this upcoming election questions about the business community and how we can help businesses succeed. And here with me today, we have Jake Siemens, who is a councillor for, how long have you been a councillor?
12 years.
12 years, so he's been a councillor for a little while, and you are seeking re-election this upcoming October election. And thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Just so those of you watching, if you haven't watched one of these videos yet, we're going to be asking the same 5 questions to every candidate who's been willing to come and join us. So far, it's most of them that are going to be coming in at some point, and those videos will all be posted through our Facebook feed, through YouTube, and also on our website, so you guys can hear what they have to say about the business community and make your own call as to what you think about what they're saying. So without any further ado, let's dig into some of these questions, Jake.
Let's go.
Okay, so the first question is around the topic of economic development, which, especially from the chamber perspective, we've been hearing from our members a lot. It's a little bit of a hot topic. So from your perspective, when you consider economic development, what's a good strategy for economic development in Steinbach?
Well, first off, we need to fill our industrial parks. We've got a number of industrial parks, and they have a lot of lots that are sitting empty. How do we do that, right? And I think that needs to be a focus moving forward. It hasn't been a focus of City Council over the last number of terms, but prior to that, it was a focus.
Okay.
That's how industrial parks get built, right? That it changes it and the focus there. So the City of Steinbach has a number of industrial parks, but so there's a private industrial park on the north end of Steinbach now. So how do we fill these? And I think that would be the biggest need. How do we develop it? And because if we fill those industrial parks, that would also then bring more retail into Steinbach. It would also bring more housing into Steinbach. That would also keep our current graduating students and families together in Steinbach, that they don't have to leave Steinbach or commute to Winnipeg for a job. Another idea, one of the ideas I have around the whole economic driver is to partner with the chamber. And not just because I'm talking to you, Ben, that's not the only reason either.
Sure.
But I think overall, how do we do that? How do we build partnerships? We've talked about hiring an economic development officer. The problem is when you look at other communities who have one, very hard to judge what they do, who they report to, and what the process is. Maybe we can, if there was a partnership model that we could use with the chamber, that we could hire somebody in conjunction with it to drive some of that business so that we can attract manufacturing, different companies that require skilled and unskilled labor, because we need all segments of the labor force to be part of it. So a strategy we could use is to leverage some of the business tax that we already collect. And is there a way that we can do that together with the chamber? Because all of our business tax currently goes to the chamber. Is there a way we can maybe change that formula a little bit? And then in conjunction, hire an individual who could be the point person to those outside manufacturing companies that are actually looking to move. Now that individual would be a tough hire, but that they would be responsible to work the market and seek out prospective companies that would be welcoming. That individual would need to be the welcoming individual, and then work together with them to hold their hands through the process, so to speak. There is red tape that we've put in place. City policy can be cumbersome at times, and it can have an adverse effect on companies that do want to move in here. Okay. So if we have somebody who can guide that process through the city as well, and take away some of that red tape that we have put in with some of our policies that we do have in place. And it wouldn't be the easiest position
to
manage. There's lots of questions. Who would that individual report to? And what process could we do? We'd have to take a good look at that. And how could we leverage that person, and how do they get out there? And it would have to be the right type of person to work in that environment so that they can attract to our industrial parks.
So when we talk about businesses in Steinbach, they face a lot of different types of challenges, but if you think of kind of what is one of the main challenges that they experience, and how could City Council help with business challenges like that?
You know, the role of council is to put policy in place. That has always been there. And generally, policy is a reaction to something adverse that has happened. And so the end result is a policy that prevents that issue from happening again. And so that same policy in combination with other policies that we have in place is often a stumbling block for business, potential new business moving in, or even current business that's here that want to expand or want to look at new things. Right? Our parking policies, our variety of different policies on expansion. So help in some form at reducing the policy and restrictions to business. And so they need to be maybe looked at on a case-by-case basis. But again, how do we get that feedback and so that we can have a very positive business development strategy
Sure.
for the community? And I think some of the key challenges are in hiring skilled labor. That's another big challenge. How do we hire skilled labor and then keep them in the workforce at that building? I know ongoing people are looking, people that have a particular skill, there's many different outlets seeking that skill. And so they're easily movable, potentially, but how do you retain that skill set? And so that has been a focus, and that is a worry for a lot of the business community.
Good. Next question, we talked about challenges. What about some strengths? When you think of the city of Steinbach, what are, let's say, just two strengths that we have in being competitive in either attracting or encouraging businesses to grow, and how can the city council help with that?
We've always talked about a very able workforce that's ready to work in the skilled side, but also the unskilled labor force, but willing to work. We have a tradition of hardworking labor force, which should be very attractive to different companies, as well as a competitive wage structure. We have a very competitive wage structure to the Winnipeg market, but also potentially with a lower cost of living here. That in itself would be able to be very attractive to different businesses. The other thing is our location, where we are located in central Canada, but also that we have major roads going south away, hence the trucking companies that make their home here in Steinbach, and also across Canada. So we're very close to some major north-south highways and east-west highways that would be very attractive to different companies. But how do we leverage that? Yeah. And again, an economic development officer, if that's the term, would get that message out. True. Or maybe there's a strategy that we can put together and work at putting that strategic. There's got to be a strategy that we can. This all doesn't make sense all of a sudden, but there's got to be a model, a strategic model that we can use that would get that message out. And marketing, how do we self-market Steinbach? The Chamber put out the video a while back, which I think is effective. And I think so that attracts, at least it's well known out there. But there's got to be an effective strategy that maybe we can work together on to attract and just use some of those advantages that we do have.
So the terms are 4 years, everyone knows that. So when you picture kind of this next 4-year term, what's your vision for what Steinbach will look like in 4 years from now?
This will be a very interesting term for council, with a new mayor coming on board and at least 3 new councillors. It will be a very interesting term of council. The first number of months, and probably likely up to a year, is a time of understanding how council is going to work together. Sure. It's council it's a consensus body, right? It's not where there's a direct approach from the mayor and say this is the direction we're going to go. It's still a consensus of council. So how do we do that? And how do we drive forward with that council? So we made it work. When I got on council 12 years ago, it was a brand new council with 2 incumbents and a new mayor. And we made it work 2 terms ago, again, when we had 4 new councillors at the table. So it does work, and it's functional, and we'll make it work again. But it will be an interesting new council. So part of this is we need to continue some of the things we've already done. We were very good at advocacy. That was one of our models that we used, and it was an ongoing. We had Mayor Gertzen part of AMM, which was, I think, one of the most useful things that we can do as a council. We need to be out in the face of the provincial and federal elected bodies to let them know that Steinbach is on the map, Steinbach is looking, Steinbach is ready to go, that we do have resources that we can effectively apply for grants and make use of those grants in whatever areas, whether it's water, sewer, roads, recreation, multicultural, that we would like to access those grants, but also that they know that Steinbach is on the map looking. The advocacy piece at both of the other levels of government is very important, especially when it comes to now, again, we're talking multiplex, we're talking about replacing the arena, we're talking about all those things. That's critical. And we need to become, and through advocacy, there's the other piece of it is where you're out there, but then you also become aware of what's coming, what grants are out there, and potentially what grants are going to be available to us, so we can do our homework in advance. And we saw that over and over with how Mayor Gertzen was bringing that information back to the city. And we also need, as part of that, we need to, the advocacy piece with our regional health facilities, with seniors housing, with all the different things, with an aging hospital. How do we, and we are a regional center now, how do we then continue to work together and push the province on that we can grow that regional aspect? We are a regional hub of Southeast Manitoba. We want to keep it there. How do we do that? And that is to do in large part through advocacy.
Okay.
And we need to continue to build partnerships in our community with the Chamber, with the Arts Council, minor sports, with the museum, and many others. What we did 12 years ago, because we were a new council, we changed how we did business. We started with SPC meetings on a monthly basis, where we would invite community groups to council chambers, to talk about what their needs are. Not just financial needs, that's minor, but what are their dreams, what are their aspirations, where are they going, how do they serve the city? Then council as a whole can learn about who they are. And that is, I think, has been key to some of the success in Steinbach as well, because we're out there as a listening body, as a sounding board, and they can run some of the ideas by council. And it took a while for them to come to council, here, this is our vision, this is where we want to go, and not just ask for money each time. And I think that's been a very effective tool that we've been able to use. One of the other areas of partnerships and advocacy is our local RMs. Without a good partner in RM of Hanover, we wouldn't have been able to have an annexation agreement that we did. That was was seamless in process, and it was a good understanding how to move forward. And with some of the other RMs, we need to continue that process too. So we have that, the regional meetings now set up with the arm of the broker. We need to keep doing that and continue the relationship with the RM of Hanover, and also with the RM of St. Anne. We need to begin so that we are regionally centered, but also there's an understanding of how we can all grow together as a region, and not just look at ourselves, but also beyond our borders, how can we effectively do that? We also need to be the motivator for people who are living in aging houses. So one of my platforms has been, what I would like to see the city do is encourage people that are in older homes, roughly 15 years or older, whatever that age could be. This all has to be fleshed out, but is there a way that we can then provide a rebate to that homeowner? If we have a homeowner in an older home but wants to spend $15,000, $20,000 on their home, upgrading it or whatever, what's going to happen is that they're going to be assessed at a higher value.
Right.
Is there then that we can take the difference between their current assessment and their reassessed model and rebate them that for 3 years? Now, it might only be a couple $100, depending on what terms it, but it would encourage upgrading of older local homes, and it would also provide business for small companies in Steinbach that do the renovation and are the home builders and so on. I'd like to take a good look at whether something like that would be possible, and we can encourage homeowners not only maybe stay in their own home and upgrade their homes, but also, and we would do that for a term of 3 years, and that would then or till the house is sold. So then we have individuals who buy homes, fix them up, and sell them off, and that's fine too. But when the house is sold, then they don't get that rebate anymore. anymore either. So I think that would be maybe another strategy to get some of the older homes in our community, at least in some form, provide an initiative for them to fix things up.
Good. So what else is there that you are passionate about in regards to your platform that you're talking about? Is there anything else you'd like to share with us here?
I think one of the keys one of the things that I've been working on for the last 12 years has been our recreation. And recreation not only from the big facilities, but also from the standpoint of low cost or free recreation. Our splash parks are a good example of that. Our biking, walking paths are a good example of that. Our green spaces that we need to continue to develop. There's an initial capital cost, there's an upkeep cost, but it is for small families that they can get out and participate in walking. One of the prime areas would be the Clear Spring Greens. They don't have access to a pathway that runs them back into Steinbach. They have to go on a very busy road. And just recently, again, that came to light when I've been in that area. And I hear from those individuals that they have to drive outside of their area because they can't. That road is way too busy. So I think that's good. And we need to continue that. We need the city of Steinbach, for the people here, to be more pedestrian, that they don't have to drive downtown or to the stores. That there has to be a way to get them out there by bicycle or by walking. I would like to continue to do that. Mm-hmm. We have done a great job of maintaining our infrastructure. Through our administration and engineering department, we always have had a plan. So, and we have put a couple $1 million a year into maintaining that infrastructure. That needs to continue. You know, our maintaining our infrastructure, it's currently in great shape. And it is that way because of many years, and prior to us being on council in the last 12 years, is the processes and programs that were put into place. And so it's been in great shape. For our water, sewer, asphalt programs have all stayed in great shape. And so it's us adding monies, the same monies every year, and keeping in shape and making sure that our capital programs and accessing the federal and provincial grants when available. So we've done a really great job of that. And with that, we need to continue to do, because it'll only stand us in good stead over the next coming years. So my motto over the last 12 years, and it continues to be, is that we all have a vision for our community. Sometimes it's different, but it's still a great place that we can work together to make Steinbach a safe place to raise a family, to live, to ride a bike, work, and worship. And I think those are all very important.
Well, thanks so much for joining me here today. And for those of you who are watching, just, thank you for watching and hearing what Jake has to say about the different things that he is focused on in regards to the business, but also in regards to the whole platform that he is going to be trying to implement as he's a counselor moving forward. So thanks again, Jake, and we'll see you around.
You bet.